Hey there, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is another paid request, this time for John the Zero Cool. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, topics, reactions, reviews, re-reviews, randomness, out of blueness, wherever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now this is for the pilot to Smallville. Now, Smallville is a show I did not grow up with, meaning I didn't watch it back in the day. I want to say it was on the CW, but I'm trying to think if there was a different name for the channel before the CW. Maybe not, because I know that was around the time you had UPN and these type of offshoot channels that a lot less people watch. But this was a very big success of a show. I mean, it lasted 10 years. You have Tom Welling as Clark Kent, and it's doing a different take on the Superman mythos, where it centers much more on growing up in Smallville, which is an interesting concept, but a concept that it seems like would not last too well. It lasted 10 years, so it lasted long, but I enjoyed the pilot for what it was. So I did a little bit of research and I watched a couple clips, including, this is going to sound strange, someone put like all the opening credit. You know how a show starts, you have the title and then you have cast member, the opening credits little montage. And I watched it from season 1 to season 10. And I saw like the different rotation of actors. Like apparently Michael Rosenbaum, who plays Lex Luthor, he's gone around after season 7. Eventually Mom, Pa Kent are no longer in there. Lana Lane. I'm guessing, again, I'm not an expert on the show, so I could be at 100% wrong. I'm guessing after being in Smallville, he graduates, goes to Metropolis, has some dealings in Metropolis. Does it seem like maybe they're trying to do the Justice League type of thing? Like there's a guy that looks like Green Arrow. Not the Green Arrow from the TV show Arrow, but like a different Green Arrow, and I don't know if they had other heroes on there. Maybe they had a Supergirl. I don't know. But I'd be curious to hear from fans if that's maybe seemed like a loss of its luster, because I enjoyed the pilot, but it did seem like there was a bit of charm taking place in this little old town where you have a kid trying to figure out his powers, and that gradual step-by-step process of learning who and what you are. And in 1989, the ship comes down, Mom, Pa Kent, the father's played by John Schneider from the Dukes of Hazzard. The mom is played by Annette O'Toole, who was in Superman 3. I thought that was a really nice touch. I do like John Schneider and Annette O'Toole. I thought they did a great job as parents. Much better in Man of Steel. And this is like Man of Steel. You know, Zack Snyder wants to talk about how I want to do a more serious story on Man of Steel and about this and that. I'm like, this was doing that better than you were. Like, I got more out of this pilot. I try to make Superman a bit more of a down-to-earth guy with a little bit of angst. Much more tolerable than your fucking movie, Zack Snyder. I didn't need a fight in a damn IHOP either. And yeah, for its time, the effects are not that good. I mean, it begins with these really bad looking rocks, the meteorites in outer space they shoot down. You also have a very laughable scene, at least to me, where when the event happens, some meteorites hit the town, including Lana Lane's parents get killed. And that did make me laugh, just because Lana, the little girl's over here. They look over, the parents are looking. They just look up and they stand there like this. It's not like a look of horror or terror of, oh my god, or run. It's just like, huh? Just imagine like, huh? That's like a Looney Tunes type of thing. Like Sylvester the Cat or Wile E. Coyote, they look up and then Only this is with debris and a kaboom. I just the way they directed, where Lana's parents had no reaction. They look, what's that? I think they, well, I could have sworn one of them did say, wonder what that is. Maybe not, but. And I didn't realize that the people who created this show were the writers who worked on Shanghai Noon with Jackie Chan and Showtime with Eddie Murphy, Robert De Niro. The same writers who worked on those movies, they helped create this show. Which was interesting. I thought Tom Welling did a good job. I understood his plight. He plays after the opening segments. It's sometime later, present time for here. And Clark Kent is in high school and he's dealing with... He can't show his powers. He does some powers. He doesn't know why he's so different from the rest. Ultimately, the parents do tell him he's an alien. And I'm like, well, when he was doing all this crazy stuff, I figured he would figure that out beforehand. I mean, what do you think he was doing? Uranium drinking or cousin to the Toxic Avenger? But I guess he figured again, you're going super speed. I mean, one of the first scenes is with him going super fast through a cornfield to catch up with a bus. And he didn't think he might have been an alien. Man, how come I run faster than the speeding bullet? Must have been the Wheaties. Maybe I ate a good bowl of Wheaties. So that was a bit weird that he didn't know. And again, he's not like he's 10, 11 years old. He's like high school. And then you have some buddies in high school. Which I guess one of them, the black kid, looked at the opening credits. He didn't last in the show much. I wonder what happened with that. And he likes Lana Lane. I do like the idea. I thought that it was clever that when all that stuff happened back in 1989, I guess the little girl, Lana, had found one of the bits of kryptonite. And she wears it as a necklace. And that's why when Clark Kent gets near her, he acts more clumsy. So you're establishing him being clumsy, and people go, oh yeah, that Clark, he's a clumsy, whatever. But you're given a explanation because his little shard. It was also a nice, clever way to introduce the whole kryptonite thing. Just one of these things is a little part of a necklace, no one knows what it is, he gets close to it, he feels weird and weaker, he doesn't quite know why. And, the pilot is about 48 minutes long. It went pretty decent of a clip. Because you gotta introduce the origin, you gotta introduce the characters, you have to introduce Lex Luthor. I like that his father's played by John Glover, who I remember from In the Mouth of Madness. He had a bit part at the very beginning of RoboCop 2. But his big role was in Gremlins 2. He was the owner of the high-tech building. He was a lot of fun in that. He got killed by Poison Ivy in Batman and Robin, where Poison Ivy, Uma Thurman, kissed him after she's been turned into Poison Ivy. That's John Glover. And then the guy who played Lex Luthor, Michael Rosenbaum. I could tell from the get-go that I would enjoy this interpretation. Number one, I like Michael Rosenbaum. He has his own podcast on YouTube called Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum. I know the title seems like, what is it, porn? Inside of You? No. It's trying to get into the head of people, talk about, their work in the business, how it's going, that type of thing. But he's been in a couple other films too, like he was in Urban Legends, the first one. And he seems like a big fan of horror films. Like his studio has like posters of Evil Dead and Nightmare on Elm Street, and seems like a very nice guy. Like John Zuercool, if you like Michael Rosenbaum, type in Michael Rosenbaum and Bobby Lee, Lee. There's a YouTube channel called Tiger Belly, which is Bobby Lee, who's a guy from Mad TV, and Bobby Lee talks to Michael Rosenbaum. They worked on a movie together. It was Ticketed Old School with Jamie Kennedy. And there's a couple fun interviews with Bobby Lee and Michael Rosenbaum, where he interviews Michael, and it shows that this guy has a lot of fun and talent and seems like a good sport. But this Lex Luthor, I like that there's a bit of establishment that at the beginning, like early in 1989, he was there as well. He was when the crash happened and all this stuff happened. That's one of the reasons how he lost his hair. It's also how people looked at him differently, and Michael Rosenbaum seems like he has that cool, calculating look that he could become a villain, but at the same time, he just in a car crash. Clark Kent saves him, and he treats Clark well. Is that how people look at me and they think one thing when I'm really another? And yeah, it seems like, oh god, really, Lex Luthor and Clark Kent were friends in high school, but the way it's done here makes it an interesting hook. I think because again, Tom Welling is so earnest in his performance, and Michael Rosenbaum seems like a right fit. That seems like it would be one of the more interesting things in the years to come of the show. And also, because of that accident in Smallville, it's now affected apparently a lot of stuff. And kind of like how Buffy the Vampire Slayer TV show, that area seemed to be the center of all this evil. Was it? Even Tremors, the series, did that, where after a while, Christopher Lloyd was part of this government experiment that they dealt with this DNA and it got out, and that's why they tried to create all these different monsters, because they knew after a bit, yeah, we can't just have Graboids, because how the hell do we last a whole series just on this? And I'm thinking, why didn't you think of it in the first place? Here, oh, this is weirdo central, and apparently because of that, there's a variety of people that have special powers and all this other stuff. Like in this one, back at 1989, as part of this assholish high school ritual, they take a younger guy and they put him as part of a scarecrow and they leave him out there in the field and he feels embarrassed. Well, after that accident, he got some power of electricity and wants to take revenge. Now, again, some negatives, the effects. Yes, I know it's a TV budget. Yes, I know it's way, way back in the day. They're pretty bad to look at, though. Also, like the fight, like Clark Kent, I get it. You can't have this big, knockdown, drag out fight because if you try to have the best fight ever, where can you go in episode 2 or episode 3? So I get that, but it still doesn't seem like much of a fight. Pretty much a few punches. The guy tries to run him over, and I forget what the hell Clark Kent did. He did something, or it's because the car ran into him, and something happened so that the guy lost his power, and then he didn't remember what was going on, so he has no ill will anymore because he lost that bit of his memory. It just wasn't really that fun or exciting or great of a fight. It's like, okay, well, I guess fight scenes might not be on at least in the first season. Who knows, maybe it got better. But it's like, well, it doesn't really showcase a great job of action in its pilot episode, but it does a decent enough job establishing the cast. Okay, I like the parents. The John Schneider and Ed O'Toole seem like a good Pa and Ma Kent. Like, these are the people that would give Superman his ideals of right and wrong, and they're a good fit for that. I mean, I'm a big fan of Annette O'Toole ever since I first saw her in Superman 3, so it was great to put her in there. I know later on Christopher Reeve makes an appearance in 1 or 2 episodes, which that's pretty cool. This is when, of course, when he was in the wheelchair. I think Dean Cain is in another episode as a villain later on. But like I said, it went at a good enough pace. I like pretty much the setup of it. The cast, I think that's definitely one of the things that made the show successful, was they got the cast right. Because you'll have directors that'll tell you, if you get the cast right, the majority of your work is done. And they did have a point to that. So yeah, while the budget, the effects don't hold up at all, while the ending fight scene leaves a lot to be desired, it was still a nice, interesting setup. It does seem like, though, when it's in Smallville, like the show, I would guess a lot of fans would feel that's the best, most interesting seasons. And so, I don't know how old he is when this begins. Just Tom Welling doesn't look young. He looks fairly old, even here. But, you can only stay in Smallville for so long unless there's some community college. But that's for me. It makes me wonder then, would this have worked more as a movie, like a couple TV movies? But I don't know. I can't tell because I haven't seen much of the rest of the show. But yeah, Smallville, didn't mind it. Didn't mind it at all. And I will say, it got that damn song stuck in my head from the beginning. Somebody save me from myself. Save me. But I know about save me. Save from myself. I forgot who the hell's saying it, but it's like, especially when I was looking up some info on it, that song just, now it's stuck in my head. It's been stuck in my head through the whole review. So thanks for that. But seriously, John, thank you for that. Thank you guys for watching. Take care. And we will see you guys in the next video. Later.